Hello everyone, it's me, your favorite emo K-pop stan. Today we're going to be talking about and analyzing some of the theories of TXT's new Eternally music video. Now, this video is about 20 minutes long and it's packed with so many different things that you can talk about. So I have like 3 pages of notes. So I kind of just want to get into it. So we're just going to start. Alright, so right from the get-go, we have this screen cap of them in anime style. And you can't really see it that clearly, but Yeonjun's horns are actually shorter than they were in the Nap of a Star music video. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Yeonjun actually tried to rip his horns out. So in this we can see them kind of growing back from what they used to be, obviously. So that kind of tells us that it takes a while for their powers to like grow and harness or whatever. That's why I think this is sometime in the future. So the words in section 1 say end of the night. By the end of the night, the world was in fragments and ruined, and the boys' night was colored with darkness, and their planned memories of the future were gradually eroding the boys, whilst the boys continued by wandering in the maze of mirrors. Is there no other option left for us? The boys were left confused. Now, what was interesting to me is that in this shot, we can see that Hyunkai actually has demon wings, which is a very stark contrast from the wings that we see in the Nap of a Star music video. It actually kind of looks like the wings he had in Angel and Devil. So something tells me that maybe Hyunkai might have made a mistake or something happened for him to have changed from Angel to Devil. So in this screen cap, we can see that Hyunkai is actually a little bit off to the side in Taehyun's anime flash. So this is basically trying to say that Taehyun doesn't have his own flash. He's part of someone else's story. And that may be Yeonjun's, that may be Hyunkai's, we don't know yet. But then we see that in Subin's anime flash, Hyunkai is in the frame, but he isn't drawn. So that just further adds to the fact that Subin is alone. We know that he's always represented alone, not being heard. So that was just really interesting to note. So because of the widening of the screen and the angle, we can see that this is in fact a corroded or collapsed stadium or coliseum type of thing. I know it very well could be a stadium. So we see that in this shot, Subin actually has the book that later on Beomgyu is seen fighting for or fighting against someone to keep. So it was interesting to see that Subin actually was going to give the notebook to Yeonjun and Beomgyu didn't really seem to acknowledge it. That was kind of interesting since he seemed very protective of it. I wonder what happened in the middle of that for Subin to have the book. So if you look to the side, you can actually see that the window is tinted red, which means that it's red outside, which also correlates to the Can't You See Me music video, in which the outside is red. So something is happening. Obviously, I think it might be like the end of the world or like chaos is ensuing. I don't think that chaos in this moment is ensuing right now because we see later that Subin looks out of the window to see if everything is normal and see if everything's okay. But I'm gonna touch more on that in a second. So when you listen to the music video, the song in the background is actually one of their hidden tracks, which is called Sweat. And it was weird to see it in this video per se because I can't spoil it or anything, but the lyrics to the song are actually really happy and like hopeful. So it was weird to see it in this setting. In this scene, we see the camera go from focusing to Subin to Beomgyu, which is really interesting because like I said earlier, we were mostly seeing Subin like alone and not being acknowledged by the other members. So this is just showing us that Beomgyu may be starting to listen to Subin a little bit or like starting to acknowledge him because he does film him a lot in this video. Also, we see in this scene that Taehyun is acknowledging Subin's presence, which he does happen to do a lot in past music videos. So here we see that Hyunkai is stepping on his shoes. This is going to be important later. Not really much later, but you'll see. So this is a scene where we can see Subin looking out of the window, and if you listen very closely, you can hear a car honking and noise going outside in the outside world. So that is why before I said that chaos is not really happening, although it looks red outside, nothing bad is happening yet because we can still hear other people outside. In the beginning, it doesn't seem like humans or civilization is really a thing anymore. That's why I say like past, present, future. This right now, what we're seeing is them in the present where nothing bad has happened yet. Here, when Subin looks towards the window, there's a fog, which means that I think that the ghost is there in that moment. Though we can't see it, it's obviously breathing very heavily, so it's there at the door. But in the next scene, when Subin looks at it again, like from a different angle, the fog is gone, meaning that the ghost probably saw that Subin was looking at it and it probably just went away. So while I was looking through this, I found it kind of funny that Hyuninkai was actually dancing to Fairy of Shampoo while Sweat was playing. And at first I was like, haha, that's funny, like he's dancing to another song while a different song is playing. But then I thought that it could mean that Subin is actually like in his own world. Obviously we know that he's disconnected from everyone else, but I don't mean it like literally he's in his own world, but he can't really hear what everyone else is hearing, I guess. So he may be hearing Sweat or someone else, or they're hearing Sweat. I don't know. They could be hearing Fairy of Shampoo, but Subin is hearing Sweat is what I mean. I don't know if this is important, but sometimes when you look at the clock, the time will be different. So it'll be like the big hand will be on the 1 and then sometimes it'll be on the 5. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but that's just interesting to see. So here we get a shot of time going backwards and it stops exactly at 9 3/4, which is the name of one of their songs. Here we see some flashes of their anime forms and we can see their powers are awakening, and this could be due to the sound of the alarm, or because I feel like sometimes it's triggered due to certain emotions or certain things they're going through, because here they're feeling a sense of fear or uncertainty, so that's why it's awakening. And later we see Beomgyu shape-shifting or doing whatever it is he did because he was getting defensive and he felt threatened. So here's when we start to see some of the words on the glass, and I have the translations here. They say, find that thing floating in the sky. So that thing could mean like maybe the star or the dragon we see at the beginning. I totally forgot to mention that there's a dragon in the beginning of the video. I don't know if that could be the cat or just a dragon. Are we really going to turn out like this in the end? I can't breathe. I must get out. Don't go up the stairs. Remember my name. What exactly did we do wrong? It's also worth noting that we can see Beomgyu still filming everything that's happening. Also, in this shot where everything is getting distorted, we see that Subin never really reaches the end or the elevator. So this was creepy when I first saw it. So this is actually why I decided to make this video, because I don't think anyone else noticed this. But if you look closely when they're showing the distorted scenery, we can see some of the characters from Nap of the Star are actually there. So this is telling me that this might be a festival from the past. Well, obviously it is, because we see Hyuninkai as a child. The sign says soft served ice cream. These are some of the same lights that we see in other music videos, I believe Magic Island. So this was really interesting. If we look at the dice, we can see that the numbers on the dice are 3, 16, 19, and 17. These are all numbers that we will begin to see throughout the music video. The 3 we see A3 in the stadium. The 17 we see, which is the door that Beomgyu looks through, door 17. And 19. I'm not sure where the 19 is from. I believe that we're going to start seeing the 16 maybe in the next music video, or maybe they might mention it in passing somewhere. I don't know, but we have to look out for it. When the kid stops, we can see that it's actually Hyuninkai because of the fact that he's stepping on his shoes, and Hyuninkai is seen stepping on his shoes. It's also worth noting that the kid doesn't seem to notice Subin until he actually bumps into him, which is interesting because even though Subin is clearly there, even as a kid, Hyuninkai doesn't seem to acknowledge him. This ghost is coming to comfort Subin while he's crying. Keep in mind that I say this ghost because I have reason to believe that there are 2, or at the very least 2 separate entities in this universe, and one of them is good and one of them is bad. This text reads, tears always fall whenever I wake up from a dream I'm familiar with. Section 3. promise. So here we see that Subin is actually still in the room. So I don't know if this is a reach, but on the side, when it lights up, we can see that there's a photo or painting or whatever, and it kind of looks like the void that we see in TXT's introduction of their new logo. This is where we see A3. I know it's important because there's no reason they wouldn't show that if it wasn't important. So not to make things scarier or anything, but as I was looking through this, you can actually see Yeonjun's corpse before it's revealed, and I don't know why, but that just makes things 10 times creepier. So if you listen very closely, you can hear the faint sound of like blood dripping, which is exactly what you see and hear later on in Taehyun's section. This also reminds me of that one scene from the Avengers where I forgot who the bad guy is in that movie, but I know he like shows him the future and he's like, this is what's gonna happen to your friends if you don't fix everything, and they're like all dead and stuff. That just reminded me of this. So that's what makes me think, like, and I'm gonna touch on this like literally in a second. So here we see the cat. Two things that I want to say. First, this cat, we see him several times pop up, but actually in the comeback trailer, for some reason I feel like it's not the same cat because it doesn't have the colored eyes, it just has normal eyes. So that could have been the ghost like reincarnated, but then again, maybe it was just like a color error, I don't know. The second thing is that I think Yeonjun made a deal with the cat because, as I said before, I think that Yeonjun might have wanted to save his friends from having that same fate. We can also see that by Yeonjun's head there's a rock with a lot of blood on it. I think that he might have fallen unconscious after turning around and looking at Subin in the beginning. I'm not sure, but that was just really interesting. Like, why did they put blood there? Back then, I thought it was salvation. Section 4, number 17. Here we see Beomgyu in what looks to be a maze of mirrors. And I don't know why, but I just want to connect this to Maze in a Mirror. You guys may think this is far-fetched, but when you slow it down and really try to focus on future Beomgyu, it looks like he can see present Beomgyu. Like, it looks like he's looking directly at him sometimes. I don't know if maybe that was just like his mistake during the acting, like he was looking at the camera, but personally I feel like that was on purpose. Like, he saw Beomgyu and he was like, okay, I have the book, maybe let me try to get it to this present time Beomgyu to keep it safe. I don't know if he did end up giving him the book or not. We don't know that yet. We don't know what happened. Here we can see that certain emotions do trigger their abilities. Which side should I put my trust in? Section 5, Moratorium of Rest. Here we can hear that sweat is now distorted. This actually makes me kind of believe that I think Taehyun can hear what Subin is hearing. If my theory is correct, I think that Taehyun can hear what Subin is hearing. I don't know why. That's just my own little theory. I don't know. Here we see Taehyun standing in this very beautiful garden of pansy flowers. Now, what's super interesting is that if you look up what pansies actually symbolize, the name of pansy comes from the French word penser, or thought. So since ancient times, this flower was a symbol of remembrance. In August, when pansy begins to decay and wilt, it leans towards the front and resembles a small person who is deeply contemplating his or her life. So we see that Taehyun is standing in a garden of dark purple and white pansies. Now, dark purple pansies signify broken love, and its message could mean I love you, but I know you don't. And white pansies' meaning is innocence and purity. So I believe that, and this is heavily implied with the lyrics of the song that starts to play, because the lyrics literally say, don't go breaking my heart. Don't go breaking my heart. We know that there's some broken love or broken connection between Yeonjun and Taehyun, so I think they're we're going to probably see them grow apart because we know that they were a bit close. In every scene we see Yeonjun in, he's either dead or injured, minus present Yeonjun. This may be because of what I said, like he might sacrifice himself in the future and die for the sake of his friends. He's also dressed in white, which is meaning innocence, so he probably died for a cause that didn't involve him directly, or he sacrificed himself for no reason. He was innocent. He's not the bad guy. He's also covered in purple goo, which is symbolizing his blood, but also we know that the dark purple pansies mean broken love, and he's covered in essentially broken love. So we know that obviously his relationship with his friends is breaking off and they're separating, and that ultimately led to his death. Also, if you look a little bit to the right of Yeonjun, we see this stick thing poking out. I have no idea what that could be, but since we're in the point of view of Taehyun, it could symbolize like some kind of weapon. That's initially what I thought it was at first, like some sort of sword. So in my mind I was like, okay, that looks like a weapon, so he probably may have killed Yeonjun. So I don't know, there's different possibilities to how Yeonjun could have died. Here we see that the flower is reversing, so time is reversing. We will be able to find a way. Section 6, Eternity's Girl. So if you slow this scene down, you can kind of see that the ghost is kind of glitching. To me that kind of represents like she's losing connection with them, or she may be trying to get a hold of them, or they might be trying to get a hold of her. In this case I think it's her trying to get a hold of them, but she's failing or losing connection, or something is stopping her maybe. So when stairs just suddenly pop up out of nowhere and Hyun-Kai walks up the stairs, you have to remember that there was words on the glass that said don't go up the stairs. To me, I think that was the ghost warning them of something. But then you have to think about how when Hyun-Kai goes up the stairs, it looks like he's in heaven and he sees his friends. So to me, I think it could be all just an illusion. I think that the bad entity is messing with their minds and trying to get them to think that everything's okay, because as soon as he steps into the water, it sinks. Like everything, the point of view, the camera sinks. So that's why I think there's two different entities. So as I was researching this, I found out that there's a little bit of lore. The place that Hyun-Kai opens the door to looks like a real life place, and it's a salt flat in Bolivia. A Maya legend tells that the mountains Tinupia, Cusco, and Casina, which surround the Salar, were giant people. Tinupia married Cusco, but Cusco ran away from her with Casinia. Grieving, Tinupa started to cry while breastfeeding her son. Her tears mixed with milk formed the Salar. So this also kind of a little bit reminds me of that Yeonjun scene, that milky white that we see mixed with the purple. I have no idea what that could mean. So it's really interesting that this heaven and like very pure looking place has such a dark, like sad past. That's why I think this image that we see with Hyun-Kai reuniting with his friends, the other members, I think it's an illusion. Like they probably are not really there. I think the bad entity is just messing with their minds and making them think that everything's okay, because the water that might as well just be tears. I can't get a hold of her no matter how desperate I'm trying to reach out. Again, we see that even through all of that, Subin is still in the room. There's some kind of weird clear substance on the window that starts to drip. I don't know if that could be indicating that time again is starting again. I don't know if that could also mean something else. The water bottle falling is the exact same scene we see earlier in the video. Obviously, time is resuming again and we see Subin walk in. So obviously he left. It might have just been for a second to turn off the alarm or something, but we see that the water bottle has fallen and it's just now starting to pour out. All of the water is starting to pour out. So I believe that every time we see Subin in the room with the members, he hadn't left yet. Everything was happening in that 1 second. Here we see that they actually all acknowledge Subin for leaving and coming back all of a sudden. I guess because they wanted to know like what was that about? However, I still believe that they know what happened in the time warp. I don't think that they may have like, oh, that just happened and they just brushed it off. I think they know what happened, because if you remember, Beomgyu was recording everything. Big Hit's trying to play me, but I know they know. Like, there's no way they just brushed that off. Yeonjun literally saw himself die. Again, Beomgyu recording Subin, reinforcing the fact that Beomgyu is the only one who so far we see acknowledging Subin a lot. So this is super important. Subin brought a piece of the past with him without thinking about the consequences and thinking about the fact that changing the past changes the future, obviously. Him bringing this dice with him, I think that might like fuck up the future somehow, because that dice is not supposed to be there. So I think it might open more possibilities for him, perhaps him learning how to do magic or something, or him learning how to use the dice or maybe repair it, because it does look a little bit broken, you know, it's not really working too well. That's why one of the texts actually say this is just the beginning of all the chaos. This text on the window says, "Remember my name." I think that when the ghost went to comfort Subin, it probably told him her name, so she just wants him to remember it for a future reference. So I think her name might start popping up in future music videos. The boys felt like they came back someplace in the blink of an eye. With fears inside them, the boys thought, was all this just a dream? So yeah, that was my theory / analysis of the video Eternally by TXT. Let me know what you guys think. I know this is like super crazy, there's so much going on. I really took my time to watch this. I watched this video at 0.5 speed. I was really trying to understand everything and see every little thing. I probably missed some stuff. I probably didn't get all the references. So that's why I want to open up this discussion. What do you think this is about? What do you think is going to happen in the future? Do you think they all remember everything? Yeah, so let me know in the comments. Remember to subscribe for more TXT content, because I'm slowly turning into a TXT channel. And yeah, peace.